this video I am giving you a 1-year-old's gift guide video, which was highly requested after my video on my 2-year-old son's birthday present, so gift guide. So many of you asked if I could do a similar thing for a 1-year-old. So in this gift guide I'm going to give you categories of things that you can buy. They range from a different selection of prices, from quite expensive to very, very cheap. I will link everything in my storefront in the description box below. You just need to click on the appropriate link for your region, and there you will find a whole selection of the things that I'm mentioning. I'll also put in alternatives, because some of the things that I'm going to mention are specific brands, but they might be out of your budget, and I'll put a selection of cheaper items but of the same toy in my gift guide that I recommend. So I'm going to give you my best advice on things that you can get for your 1-year-old, and I really hope that it is useful. Okay, we're going to start with the big ticket items. These are probably the gifts that are going to come from you and not necessarily a friend or a relative. But these are the gross motor activities toys. And these could be anything from a Pickler climbing frame. So we have an Et-Tet Pickler climbing frame. I'll insert footage of Oscar using it. And we have had much younger children using this and much older children using this and still enjoying it. We've actually had our newborn nephew using the Pickler frame, and you might think, how on earth is a newborn going to use a Pickler frame? Well, it was so lovely. We were able to lay him underneath the triangle part of the Pickler and hang sensory scarves and bells from it that he was able to touch and grasp at. So I've read on loads of forums when I was looking at which Pickler to buy that this one really allowed, because it was modifiable, to allow older children to use it and for it to still maintain interest. But also I read on the forums that people had children that were very young, babies, and still enjoyed it by being able to hang underneath it. So for me, a Pickler is a great investment. They are incredibly expensive and actually sometimes really hard to come by, because lots of people want them now, but I really rate the one that we have. The next thing you can buy for gross motor is a wobble board. So it doesn't need to necessarily be the Wobble brand, but one of these balance boards is a great way to encourage your child's gross motor. They can use it for wobbling, they can use it for climbing. Oscar also runs his cars down it. You can use it as a slide. People always ask, we have a felted wobble board, and that's because we have wooden floors. So it tends to be, if you have carpet, you don't need felt. If you do have wooden floors, you need felt. It's just to add a little bit of extra grip. If you want to use your wobble board for sliding particularly, then obviously don't get felted. But Oscar can actually slide down the felted one, but obviously there's just a bit more friction and he doesn't go as fast. Something else that Oscar absolutely has adored ever since he was slightly younger than 1 and still loves it now is a ride-on. I've been thinking that we will be able to pack it away soon, but he loves it. And when we have friends around, we actually have 2. We have a wooden ride-on with a trailer, and we have a VLAC car. And when he has friends around, they inevitably always end up, one of them on each ride-on, whizzing around our house. It is great for gross motor, using all of those big muscles, and Oscar absolutely loves having a ride-on as a choice of activity for his day-to-day play. The next items that you can get a 1-year-old that you're definitely going to get use out of is puzzles. I am obsessed with puzzles. I think they are great for our kids, cognitively and creatively. So Oscar has a range of puzzles, and he not only uses them to make puzzles, but some of the puzzle pieces, we have a toolkit Melissa and Doug puzzle, and he actually takes the screwdriver and things and goes to fix things. So it's kind of a beyond a puzzle as well. When you're thinking about puzzles, the kind of order that they'll go in is the chunky puzzles, that kind of big kind of wooden pieces that slot into a dip in the board. Then you're going to move on to puzzles that have larger knobs on top so they can really grip them with their young grasp. Then you can move on to peg puzzles, so this will require the pincer movement. to place the pieces, and then you can move on to two-piece puzzles, so where they're not actually slotting something into a groove in a board, but needing two pieces to join together. So there's some really lovely ones out there, animal ones or vehicle ones, whatever your child is interested in. I always encourage you to choose puzzles that link to your child's interest, but also have puzzles that are different to their interest. So we have, like I said, tool puzzles and transport puzzles, vehicle puzzles, but we also have shape puzzles and fruit puzzles and animal puzzles as well. At the age of 1, you really can't go wrong with practical life items. So you will probably notice around the age of 1 that your child is observing you a lot and wanting to be involved. Lots of parents find this frustrating because they feel like they can't get anything done. But what you really need to do is shift your mindset and get your child involved. So I really encourage a cleaning set. Children at 1 love to clean, especially if they're seeing it being modelled by their parents. And the Melissa and Doug set is really well recommended. We personally didn't have it, but Oscar has played with it at friends' houses, and I really think it is a fabulous set. Had I had my time again and I didn't already have a broom, etc., and there's no point buying another set, I would definitely have got this set. Other things you can get for practical life are fruits and vegetables. You can get wooden ones or soft ones. Utensils, pots and pans, particularly if you have a mud kitchen, or a mud kitchen might be an idea for a gift guide option, to have that way for them to model and practice what they're seeing. So get them involved in real life cooking, but allow them to also play at different times with pretending to cook. Alongside practical life, I really suggest getting a learning tower. Now I know this isn't a gift as such, but your child will absolutely love it. It will help you out in the kitchen because they won't necessarily be on the floor asking to come up and see, and you're having to carry them in one hand and cook with the other. But having a learning tower allows them to participate and be involved when they want to be. Oscar has had one from around a year old, and he is still using that same one now. We've actually taken the top bit off our learning tower, so it's just the steps now, so it's much less space, but it is still being used. So it's a great investment if that's something that you think your child would also love. Bath toys are always such a fabulous gift, and when I've got friends who don't have kids and ask me, what do I get my nephew, or what do I get my niece, I always say bath toys, because I feel like you can never have enough bath toys. They get grotty and disgusting, and they often have to get thrown out. But bath toys are always going to get used because they're so different to the other toys that your child will have. Now, when I say toys get grotty and disgusting, the toys that I'm going to mention are toys that don't get grotty and disgusting, because I don't like having to throw things out. So the first thing that you can get is foam shapes. Now this set is a really great option. It has cars and vehicles and road. We also have a sea life set of these where it's got fish and starfish and seaweed and water. Anything that kind of just sticks to the side of the bath that they can create kind of some storytelling with is a great option. Any of the bath products from Green Toys I also really recommend. We have the submarine and it is great. Oscar loves it, plays with it every single day. They also do like a ferry with little cars on, and I think they do another boat. But the great thing about the Green Toys is not only are they made from recycled plastic, but they are able to come apart, so there's nothing in there that can get grotty and disgusting, because you can take them fully apart. There's no little holes for water to get in and not be able to come out, and you can wash them and clean them. So I really do rate the Green Toys bath toys. And the same as that, I really rate Boone. They do a really lovely set of cogs and tubes. At the 1-year-old age, I'd really recommend the cogs, because the child can spin them really easily, and you can link them together, and that can be a real fun activity in the bath. If they're a little bit older, you can start to get the tubes that they can pour water into and kind of things whir around, and they create a wonderful set with the cogs. But at 1-year-old, I really recommend the cogs. At 1-year-old, it's a great time to start an animal collection. So now's your time to kind of maybe pick a brand that you can start to build on. And it's something that we did at 1 year old. I chose the Osteimer brand, which you can see in the background here. So this is a wooden toy company. They are German. They are all handmade and handcrafted. They are not cheap, But I feel like if you start your collection at 1 year old and you ask family and friends to just buy a single animal, you soon build your collection. So we have only focused on farm animals at the moment, and Oscar has only just turned 2, and we have quite a collection by asking friends and family just to buy an animal for him. So it works out much more affordable that way. Other brands I really recommend are Schleich. They are a plastic toy animal brand. And they're really recommended because they're so lifelike. Even their footprints are true to life. So you can kind of do activities where they go through mud and their footprints will look like the actual footprints of an animal. These are great if you do lots of water play or outdoor play and you wouldn't want to take your wooden animals outside. Some cheaper alternatives to wooden animals are Lankicade. Their animals are a bit more kind of crude in shape and cartoonish, but they're a lot more affordable. You can also get Eric and Carl and Holt's Tiger. Both are wooden toy brands and are slightly cheaper than the Ostheimer brand. If you're looking for really affordable toys or gifts to give to a 1 year old, you can't go wrong with craft items. So things like paint, really chunky brushes. These ones are fabulous because they work with a toddler's grasp. Chunky crayons, large pom-poms. If you have a child that really loves to get involved in craft, getting a tuff tray is a great idea because you can use it for lots of sensory play and messy play, and it will save your carpets because you can have it inside, but you can also put it outside, and they even come with legs. Also getting paper, a roll of paper, a craft table, like a small table and chairs for your child to work on, little pots for them to have their crayons and pencils so they can organise things. And a lovely idea at this age is to get a set of rollers and stampers as alongside brushes. This works really well with children's grasp and their movements at this age. They're not really able to necessarily paint, but they can definitely work on like kind of stamping and rollering movements, and it really helps those kind of muscle movements in their hands to develop. Books, of course, are a great option for a 1 year old. I will link my storefront in the description box below where I have a whole section on books that I recommend. And if you're gifting to a 1 year old, a great idea is to choose maybe your favourite book as a child or any book that you want to give them, and give them a toy that links to that story so that they can do some beyond the book play. So if you're giving them a story that involves a whale, give them a whale as well so that they can reenact the story. Something that I really recommend is getting a shape sorter for a 1 year old. They might not necessarily be interested in it at 12 months, but they will definitely be interested at some point in the 1 to 2 year age gap. I really recommend getting something that is fairly simple. If you followed my channel for a while, you'll know that the one that we ended up buying pre 1 year old was too difficult for Oscar, and it took him a long time to be able to use it. It also was always too difficult, and still is, for him to get the pieces out. So the ones that I'm going to recommend in the description box are really simple for your child to use and repeat the activity. And this is really important when you're thinking about getting a shape sorter, that your child is able to retrieve the pieces themselves without adult support. So they're able to put the pieces in, take the lid off and get the pieces out and repeat is really important. Something that I have not found a 1 year old that doesn't like is a Latches board. We have 2 Latches board actually. We have the Melissa and Doug Latches board, which is kind of 6 different latches, and you open the doors up and you can put things inside like a piece of paper or something. And we also have the Big Future Toys Latches board. This one only has 3 doors, but has the added benefit of being able to take the piece, put it in the slot, and then it slides down behind the door and the child can retrieve it. So it actually holds a child's imagination and creativity a lot longer than the Melissa and Doug one, I would say. But selecting a Latches board is a great option for this age. A hammering toy is a great option for this age. It works with your child's ability in movement. You can get such a variety of these nowadays, so I'm going to link in the description box on my storefront a range of these in different price brackets. I don't think you need to go too complicated with these, but a way for a child to hammer in a piece, whether it's a ball or a peg, and they can retrieve it and do it again and again, is really something that they love doing at this age. Finally, you can think about getting a stacking toy. Now this could be anything from a stacking toy on a spoke with you know, chunky wooden pieces, and it can also be something like the Grimm's 12-piece rainbow. I personally opted for the rainbow because I knew that it would have longevity. It is not a cheap toy, but it is beautifully handcrafted and has allowed itself to be used in so many different ways. So yes, Oscar is able to stack it as a rainbow, but we also use it for tunnels when we're playing with cars. If you followed my channel for a while, he used to be able to rock on the largest piece, like a miniature wobble board. It has really come into its own now that he's a bit older, so I feel like it's a great investment as a 1-year-old because they will definitely be able to use it straight away, but it will form a great part of their play as they get older. So that's it for this week's video. I really hope I've been able to give you a range of different options for a 1-year-old's gift guide, including a range of different budgets. By no means am I saying that you need to buy all of these things for your 1-year-old, and you definitely don't need to buy them for their first birthday, but hopefully it's given you some options of things that you can get your 1-year-old. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Bye!